This is a neuron. The neuron has dendrites and a nucleus. This part of the neuron is called the axon. It has myelin sheath, and in between the myelin sheath are the nodes of Rodney hair.
To begin a reaction, a neurotransmitter comes in and reaches the dendrites that receive the signal. This begins a cascade of reactions that occur within the side of the cells of the dendrites and go along the axon. Those are represented by this diagram here.
These green channels are potassium channels, while the blue ones are sodium channels. This orange one is a pump for sodium and potassium.
The reaction from the neurotransmitter will open several sodium pumps. If enough sodium pumps are opened, that enough sodium goes through to change the charge in the interior of the cell, then absolute threshold is reached and several more sodium channels will open. At this point, enough sodium has flown into the cell that the interior of the cell is positively charged compared to the exterior. To return to the resting potential, potassium channels will open, allowing the potassium to flow out of the cell. The potassium channels will stay open long enough that the charge will actually go past resting potential, and the interior of the cell will be even more negatively charged than it was initially. This hyperpolarization keeps the charge flowing in one direction and keeps it from going backwards in the neuron. This reaction will pass through the cell until it reaches the end of the cell, at which point a neurotransmitter will be released from the end of the cell. However, along the cell at the specific point where the potassium is flown out and the sodium is flown in, the resting potential needs to be restored. So, the sodium-potassium pump puts in 3 particles of sodium for each 2 particles of potassium. Through this exchange, more sodium is pushed out while less potassium is pushed in, keeping the resting potential with a negative charge on the interior of the cell.
The impulse will go through the neuron, releasing another neurotransmitter that will be crossing a synapse to another neuron or causing an action in a muscle or gland.
The brain is made of neurons and uses these reactions to process memories and feelings. After repeated reactions between neurons, memories are created. New dendrites from one of the neurons will connect to the other side, and these will be near the axon of another one. These connections are memories.